Well, it's over. The Sky Clark era of Illinois basketball has come to an end as Craig has properly recruited Sky to the Louisville Cardinals.
I'll gladly take him down here.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure that'll go very well. Yeah, it's over. Illinois basketball falls in the first round of the tournament as expected to Arkansas. 73-63. Was that the final score?
Yeah. That dunk didn't count.
I just won some points.
You won a square.
I won a square.
Logan won a square.
I honestly didn't even realize that. Great. I got something out of that. This is an Illini post-game show from No One Asked Us. He's Craig. I'm Logan. Follow us, share us, like us. Get in the chat. Say what's up. Tell us how you're feeling. Let us know your thoughts. I know we have several of them. I don't think we're going to try to spend too much time talking about this season as a whole. We can do that later. I don't think we need to spend much time talking about what's next. We can do that later. All we're going to talk about today is the abysmal showing on the court in Des Moines, Iowa this afternoon. Craig, how do you want to start this thing? You got thoughts off the top?
This is the most excited I've been after a game in a long time because I don't have to watch that shitty basketball team anymore. I don't have to put up with it. I don't have to ruin my night anymore. I don't have to stress over or get nervous over a basketball game for 8 more months. I could just watch the rest of the tournament, not worry about this team getting down 20 or 17 to a team that's just as good as them or just as bad as them, however you want to look. I just don't have to worry about watching these average-ass basketball players take the court anymore.
Yeah. That's you echo the sentiments of Illini fans everywhere. This is an Illini team that peaked in November and never really came anywhere close to that same level of talent and success on the court. And it finally came to a close today. Not much positive to take away from this. Terrence Shannon, 20 points, good for him. RJ had 10. That was nice to see. Coleman had 10. I mean, I think the thing that stuck out to me was with 9 minutes to go in this game, Brad went with a lineup of all guys that are got a good chance to be back next year. Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, Coleman Hawkins were not on the court. Matthew Meyer did hardly play at all in the second half. We could talk about him. Granted, now eventually Coleman and Shannon came back into the game and kind of helped pull them back into what ended up being a closer game than it should have been, honestly. But I thought that was telling. I thought going with that lineup of it was Dane and Goody and Melendez and Ty Rogers and Sincere Harris. That was the lineup he had out there for several minutes, and that was the lineup that started to kind of put things together towards the end. Now, obviously, it wasn't enough, but it is what it is. We can move on from this. Matthew Meyer was just abysmal. And I'll say this. I was listening to another Illini show. I believe it was Illini Inquirer podcast at one point, and I heard Jeremy Werner drop the line, something about, do Terrence Shannon and Matthew Meyer need to play in God mode or something in order to win this game? And that stuck out to me because I thought when he said, I don't remember if he asked that question to somebody or whatever. I just thought, I don't think that's necessary. I don't think this is a game that they need to be at that level. Matthew Myers needed to show up. I mean, I get it. Everybody has bad days. I don't know what his problem was today. He was 0 for 6 from the field. He was 0 for 5 from 3. He made 2 free throws. Those were his only 2 points of the game. He hardly played the last 15 minutes of the game. He's been your second best player all year, and that's the showing you get. And when you need a win or you're done, like that's the most frustrating part. And again, I understand guys have bad days. I don't know what his deal was. You know, everybody is free to have their own issues or whatever, but like you can't have that. You just can't. It was bad. It was awful.
Yeah, for for as good as Matthew Meyer was all season and being the second best player and keeping them in games and winning games and being one of the only players that can shoot a three, I am so glad he's gone. I think he brought this team down a lot. They touched on it in the broadcast. He left Baylor because he felt like he was going to be boxed in to 17 to 20 minutes and not be able to expand his role, which he came here to do, which he did. But I think that bogged Illinois down exponentially at times, and he tried too hard to be that guy. I think him gone or him not playing would have been who was the other guy? Was it Pete Nance? Was it Pete Nance and Matthew Meyer were kind of the two transferred along the same lines? I didn't watch enough UNC to see if Nance played any better or whatnot, but sure, Illinois needed Matthew Meyer, but I think Matthew Meyer caused a lot of the problems with this roster this season. Although he was outstanding. He was great. I want to preface that. He was great for most of the season, but in certain situations when Meyer went in the I got to get mine mode, it really bogged this team down.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to dwell on it because we've talked about it a lot, but this team had no leadership. I mean, the point guard situation is its own animal, but this team had no leadership from the very beginning. I don't know how badly Terrence Shannon or Matthew Meyer really wanted to be here or really wanted to lead. I think they both wanted to be playing professionally. They were told that they weren't quite to that level yet. Brad Underwood came in and said, I will help you get there. And they took that. I don't think they really cared as much about the success on the court. I never got that impression. And I feel bad saying that because I could be totally wrong. And if I am, whatever. But I never got that vibe. And it didn't help that neither of them really carried leadership qualities. It was very abundant on the court all season long. I mean, there's a lot of issues that go into this. We've talked about the point guard thing. We've talked about the basketball IQ thing. So there's a lot of factors here. But he just, especially tonight, just didn't look like he wanted to be there. It just didn't seem like he cared. And it wasn't until the very end of this game this team had any sort of urgency or felt like anything was on the line. That literally did not kick in until the last 10 or so minutes. And I think it was when that lineup was on the court that I referred to. That lineup of guys who are going to probably be around next year for the most part. You might lose one of them or something, but the other three are gone. There's no chance. Matthew Meyer's obviously gone because he doesn't have any more eligibility left. Terrence Shannon's most definitely gone, and Coleman Hawkins is also most likely gone. So they seem to care more when they had that other lineup on the floor. Also, credit to the fact that a couple of those guys had been on this team for at least for a couple of years. Whatever.
I mean, this probably isn't the best comparison because these are two really good Big Ten players, but they're two of my least favorite players ever. You probably know them. They're Big Ten opponents. One graduated last year. One graduated this year.
Yes, I know who they are.
Brad Davidson and Hunter Dickinson. I hate their stinking guts, but give me 5 of those players as opposed to the 5 that Illinois trots out. The roster this year just didn't want to be there. They showed no effort, no leadership, no energy. Luke Goody did at the end of the year. Luke Goody was diving on the floor. Ty Rodgers dives on the floor, makes hustle plays. Sincere Harris is a spark plug. But those aren't the guys that are going to be out there for 35 minutes a game. Those guys play 20 to 25 minutes. Your guys that are out there for 30. Care. Exactly.
Your two best players.
Give me some emotion.
Your two best players are there to try to improve their draft stock. And unfortunately, when it comes down to it, your draft stock doesn't really hinge much on how much your college team wins or loses. It doesn't matter. Their draft stock is going to be what it is. They're going to just
or how you actually play because Coleman Hawkins is being talked about as being a draft pick, and he had 7 freaking turnovers tonight. Look at his tape, and he's not an NBA player, but he's in mock drafts.
He does a lot of things right, and I know the turnovers are a problem, and I know there are a lot of issues with Coleman Hawkins, but he does a lot of things right too. I don't want to totally. Yes, I know the turnovers were an issue. The turnovers were an issue in general. This team had what was the total tonight? 17 turnovers. They made 20 field goals. They made 3 more field goals than they had turnovers. I don't usually look at that number, Like, I don't oftentimes compare those two statistics, but that can't be good. That can't be good. I don't know. This was an Arkansas team that on paper was about as carbon copy as you could get of this Illinois team. The difference was Illinois had a little bit more tournament experience. Well, at least with two players. No, I shouldn't even say that. They had a couple. Illinois' best players were older, or Arkansas's best players were freshmen. But obviously tonight, the freshmen were better, and Arkansas was better, far and away. Illinois was 6 for 22 from three, which is just on par for the rest of the year. 17 for 26 from the free throw line, 20 for 52 from the field. As I already said, 17 turnovers. Whatever. I don't even know that we need to go over all the stats here. RJ Melendez, I think, was the best part of this game. He was a player that I
thought he got a technical.
I thought he did too. I assumed it, and I tweeted it out. Like, if I were RJ Melendez, I would never dunk a ball in a tournament game ever again. Because he hung on that rim 3 times longer than he did last year during the tournament game when he got whistled for the technical. He was really the lone. I mean, yes, Terrence Shannon had 20 points. He was obviously the leading scorer in the bright spot for Illinois. But as far as anything else is concerned for the future of this program, RJ Melendez with 10 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal, and 0 turnovers. Good for him. Like,
something to build on.
Could use that a lot more. I know you've been flashing some of the chat up. Do you have any of these things you want to stop and talk about, or you're just trying?
There was one.
These people up here.
Thank
you
Michael.
all for being in the chat.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being here. Michael, can't believe many of those
so
by Arkansas not called.
Didn't bring this up to complain about the refs. Brought this up to bring to the fact that I think the Big Ten way of officiating causes a lot of the NCAA tournament deficiencies, because Arkansas was very aggressive and Illinois did not know how to handle it, because in the Big Ten, those are called fouls. Today in the tournament, they're not, because the Big Ten is so stingy and will call anything. I think that has something to do with the lack of success of the Big Ten in the tournament. So not calling the refs' fault today. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I just think in the tournament it's different, and the Big Ten teams aren't used to it because their game is officiated a little bit differently. Yeah,
that's been an ongoing theory for a little while as to possibly why the Big Ten continues to struggle in the tournament. Don't know if that's the only reason, but yes, I do think there's something to that. What else?
There was something else in here. Hold on.
Anybody else in the chat? Again, if you're here, thank you. Get in the chat. Let us know your thoughts. Maybe we'll get you in here, and I'm sure we have other things we can discuss as well. But I don't know what else to say. There's not much else to say about this. This was just another bad showing for Illinois, and it's unfortunately how the season ended. Outside of this game, it's been a pretty wild day of basketball.
I started off really
big
hot.
Upsets already.
Yeah, I started off really hot, and then the last, I had Arizona going to. I did have Furman, and then one of my pools we do upset special where you designate a game, and you get the differential of the seeds as your point. So it's a first round game, so it's normally 1 point, but since Furman was 13 and Virginia was 9, and I designated that, I'll get 9 points for that win. So I called that one, but I had Arizona in the championship. So, yeah, that's great. Not good. Here we go. We'll just start talking. Michael, again, besides a point guard, do we need a big center next year, or do we stay small
there? I don't know. I don't exactly know. I know we talked on this a little bit. I know you kind of laid out a plan. I don't really know what the answer is, and I'm not sure.
I don't think it's top priority.
Either. No, it's not. I'm not sure that Brad knows well, I shouldn't say that. He probably has an idea what he wants to do, but just the roster construction in general, I think, is going to have to be a little bit different. I don't think a big center needs to be a top priority, as you just said. I do think Dane Danger is a legitimate post presence. Is he the best post presence you can throw out there? No, probably not. Now, if he were to decide to leave for some reason, which he can't, or I guess he could, but
He
he'll
can
have to
because
sit
he
out another
didn't use
year.
his immediate. Yeah.
Oh, I guess whatever. If he decides to leave, then yes, you can go after a big time post presence. But I don't think that you necessarily need to go that route as your first priority. I think, as we talked about, I think point guard needs to be your first priority, and somebody that can shoot. This team,
Point guard and shooter.
point guard and
1A.
shooter, yeah. I don't know. Well, we can talk about the roster
I mean-
construction later, but I mean, I say that for, like, the portal is clearly already wide open, so like we could find out tomorrow that somebody's leaving. So maybe we do talk about this now while we're here. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I don't think. As I said, I don't think getting a big center is priority one. I do think it's something that needs to be considered, and I do think they're going to need They're going to need depth there for sure. But I don't know that I would totally. I'm ready. I don't think I'm totally ready to give up on Dane Deja in that position yet. He's only a freshman. He's a freshman. I've said it all year long. He's a freshman. He's considered a sophomore, but he's a freshman. He's an undersized.
The goal and the objective of this sport is to put the ball through that rim. And Illinois was in the Big Ten at doing that from behind the arc. The worst. Yep. And they shot the most threes. You got to make baskets to win basketball games. And this team was terrible at that. So point guard and shooters are 1 and 1A, and then move on to the rest of your roster. From Jeff, do you blame any of this on Brad for the team for them playing with the lack of intensity? I struggle with the notion that it's the coach's job to get the players ready to play. It's the players. You're the one preparing for the game. The coaches can't give you that emotion. You have to find that yourself. I don't blame Brad on their lack of intensity. I blame Brad on the game plan. And I do it every show. Get ready. The group chat. This team was just as bad at shooting as Illinois. Arkansas, that is. Guard them that way. Guard them that way. Make them shoot threes. How many threes did they shoot? Probably like 5, 6, 11. Okay. They shot half the number of threes.
Yes.
That's where I kind of put some of the blame on Brad. A little better scouting report, a little better game plan. Hold on. We might have some breaking news here. Or did you know this when you said Sky Clark to Louisville?
No, I knew it. Tipton tweeted it out literally seconds after the game ended.
Okay. I didn't know that was official.
I was legitimate.
Okay,
no,
that is official.
He tweeted it out. Yeah. Literally seconds after the game ended, Joe Tipton tweeted out that Sky Clark's going to Louisville. Yeah, I wasn't kidding. I didn't make that up. That is a legitimate thing. Yes.
Well, that's a good fit. But back to this. No, I don't blame Brad for the intensity. That is actual news. I like the assistant group that he's got, but there might need to be a shakeup because they need to get an X's and O's guy in there.
Yeah, I agree. We've talked about it a lot, and I know that Brad Underwood is the topic of conversation around Illini Lane, which I still think is crazy. I just think it's nuts, and I understand the frustrations people have because everybody's argument is that this team hasn't made it to the Sweet 16, which, trust me, I get it. I fully understand that, but I just the X's and O's and the roster construction are the two things that you can absolutely put on Brad Underwood. Now, he can't predict the future. You don't know everything about this team when you're putting this roster together, but clearly it was not built with certain things in mind, and that does go on him. But again, I know I'm not I'm just not to that point. Maybe give me a year or two. Maybe we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll join you all on that side. But no, I don't. The in-game management, yes. The roster construction, yes, partially. But the intensity thing, no. Like, they're just players. Your two most experienced players never acted like they cared. Never once. And you didn't have a leader. You just didn't. You know, there was the point where, and I texted you. You obviously didn't respond to me because you like to ignore me, especially during these games. But
I only have one chat open during the game. It's our group chat. I don't respond to anyone else during games.
Not even the person you do a podcast with. That's fine.
Because I'm talking to you after the game.
Whatever. But there was the point, I don't remember what point in the game it was, but Illinois had the possession and Arkansas grabbed the ball, threw it away, and then the shot clock got reset, and then Terrence Shannon didn't realize the shot clock got reset and just hurled up a shot because he thought he had 3 seconds left when in reality he had 20.
That's a 7th grade
That
move.
Is the move. That's the point where not only is that stupid basketball, but that's also if somebody else was out there that like would have, mentioned something, said something.
Yep.
I don't know. It's just bad.
Also, under 2 minutes left in the game, 5-point game. Coleman Hawkins is leading a fast break, and the guy comes from behind and tips it out. Like you gotta know. You gotta know that. Todd, Rutgers should have gotten the bid instead of Illinois, the worst team I have ever seen considering talent level. Transfer portal has ruined college basketball. I will agree that considering talent level, this is the most disappointing season that I can remember in a long time. We talked about that, I think, after the Penn State Big Ten tournament loss. This is like the most frustrating team that we've ever seen.
Yeah. No, it's been...
As far as Rutgers getting the bid instead of Illinois, I don't know about that. I think Illinois did barely enough to get in. I don't know that they deserved a 9. I think they should have been a 10 or an 11, but I do think Rutgers should have been in as well.
Illinois was 4-7 since January 31st.
Yeah, they showed that graphic. They showed Illinois started the season like whatever it was, and then they went on a 7-1 run, and then they started the season like 6-1, then they went on like a 4-5 stretch, and then they went 7-1, and then they were on a 4-6 stretch. It was like 3 different tiers here.
Just
they had more talent
annoying.
than us to go ISO to the hole, even though they also shot badly. Yeah, and I don't want to harp on this because it wasn't as bad as the last 2 years. I don't think Illinois got a favorable draw. It's 3 years in a row that I don't think Illinois got a favorable matchup. Now, this is not to the extent of...
No, they can't. I mean, maybe, but like I don't know that
Arkansas was an 8 seed.
Did you look at their record? I mean, they didn't have anything better about their record than
maybe
Illinois did.
Maybe that's not the way to say it.
I mean,
on paper, 2 guys going to be drafted in the top 10.
They were just as unpredictable as Illinois was. I mean,
Illinois
everything
was like 39 in KenPom. Arkansas was 20. The metrics loved Arkansas.
I don't know. Then somebody needs to change. Nobody likes any of this stuff. Nobody likes the net. Nobody likes whatever. I don't know.
The net is awful.
The net is awful. I don't think you can totally say that as much about this, but whatever.
Here we go. Here's the first one.
What else? Brad needs to be fired. No, he does not. Move on. Epps and Danger don't get playing time, and they have for boosters that they're contemplating transferring already. Maybe. It wouldn't shock me, and I don't know how I'd feel about it. All right, here's where I'm at, and I kind of alluded to this a show or two ago. If you sit there and you look at the roster breakdown for next year, there are clear things that you need. And those clear things don't totally match up with what you already have. So as I said earlier, I wouldn't recruit over Dane Danger if he wanted to stay. But if he wants to leave, I would go out and find somebody better than him because you can do that. Jayden Epps, I can honestly kind of understand it. If he were to leave, I'm not saying I want him to leave because I think he's going to be a really talented player. I think he could be a really talented player for this team. But the knock on Jayden Epps is that he is not a point guard. He is a combo guard that is not big enough to play the wing like Brad wants. And I don't know how that fits. Because if he stays, which, as I said, I hope he does because I do think he's a really talented player, you're going to have to play him next to a point guard who is likely going to be similar in size to him. And I don't know how that works. I just don't. And I don't see him being the type of player that's going to want to come off the bench for as well as he played this year when he was healthy. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I don't know what you're saying there is true, but that wouldn't shock me for that reason.
Well, what was the game that Illinois was it Northwestern? Illinois made the comeback and Epps didn't stand up once while he was on the bench.
Yeah.
Love that. Love his game.
Yeah, I know.
Hope he stays, but don't love that attitude.
I don't know.
Jinx 13. I just want to know where the 5 stars and upper 4 stars. Also, Tim Anderson was brought in because of his so-called development chops. Not impressed. Basketball IQ is low on this team. We've been saying it all year. The basketball IQ is worse than college basketball.
I think Tim Anderson was brought in for his recruiting chops. Let's be honest.
Yes.
They can say all they want about it for his development chops, but I mean, yes, that was certainly part of it because he did have a decent track record of developing players, but he was there. He was mainly brought in to bring in Chicago talent. That's it.
Which he has. Ryan Greathouse. Can Terrence Shannon come back for a 5th year or no?
Yes.
I think so. I don't think he will.
No.
He's only played 4 years, and he played during the COVID year, so he could get his COVID year back. But I don't think.
I think there's a better chance that Coleman comes back than I do Terrence.
Yes.
I don't think either of them do, but I would put
Rory White. This kind of Coleman ties in with the previous one from Jinx 13. Michael, if the players continue to do the same dumb stuff every game, why doesn't the blame start going back to the coaches? So Matthew Stevens from Illini Guys just tweeted this quote from Terrence Shannon Jr. 5 minutes ago. Shannon said, "We needed to follow the game plan better. There was times the coaches would tell us what was going to happen, and then it would happen, and it would be because of our mistakes. We needed to follow our coach's game plan better this year." That answers your question.
You can't teach stupid. I mean,
you can't fix it either.
Fix it. Like, I understand. Like, I really do. I do understand that there's a large vocal, I don't know if it's large, there's a vocal population of this fan base that is adamant that Brad Underwood is not the answer. And I understand where a lot of these things are coming from, but like, you can't fix some of this stuff. You just can't. I don't know what he's supposed to do. Terrence Shannon threw up a ball with 20 seconds to go on the shot clock because he didn't think to, I don't know. Nobody told him. Nobody thought to look at it. I don't know. Like, you just can't fix that stuff. You can't teach it either. Like, it's, I don't know. I would take DeMonte's drastic offensive liability over every one of the he's gonna bring intensity every night. Yeah. No, I mean, this team desperately missed Trent Frazier and DeMonte Williams. I was gonna ask, I'll ask you this. I thought about saving this for a later show, but if you could choose a combination, we'll just say 5 players that you could have had on this team that are either on this team now or have been on this team in the past that would still have eligibility. Who would you have liked to see? What would have been your starting 5? Obviously, Kofi is an answer at center. You can't choose Trent. Okay. You can't choose DeMonte. You can't choose players that have graduated. You can choose Adam Miller. You can choose Carmelo. You can choose whatever. Grandison.
Okay. Io would not have been here.
No.
Io would have used his 4. Curbelo. That's a good question. I mean, Curbelo, we don't know much about Adam Miller. Did he play this year?
Not much. I don't know what's going on with him.
I don't know if Adam was healthy this year. Or was it? He should have been because he sat out last year, right?
No, he sat out last year, but I don't even know what his deal was this year.
I don't know if he played this year. I mean, that's a question I'd have to think about. What about Georgie? Did Georgie have eligibility?
I don't know if he would have eligibility left this year or not.
No,
Adam Miller.
Because of
Adam
COVID.
Miller. Okay. Well, okay. I wasn't even considering Io, but okay, sure. Adam Miller this season, he did play in 33 games. He's averaged 11 points per game, 11.5 points per game.
What do you shoot from
assists. 31.6% from 3.
Ugh. That's not great. I mean, I think Curbelo, it's the same ones. Curbelo to at least run the point and have a point guard. Pajimski to have a shooter. I mean, Kofi, yeah.
No size and defense in your backcourt. If that's what you're rocking. I don't know. It's just a fun little exercise. Do you wish you had Grandison on this team? Do you wish you had?
I think Grandison and Shannon and Meyer are like the same. They're like the same person. I don't think so.
I think two of them are more talented than the third. But where's Austin Hutcherson? Did he?
He declared for the draft.
Yeah. All right. What else we got? Any other comments? Any other people?
A lot of people.
This is bumping.
Yeah, a lot of people are calling Brad out.
This talking point pisses me off. Somebody probably not Andre Curbelo.
I don't know where we're at here. I mean, Jinx 13's in here quite a bit. Shannon isn't a baller. Hawkins isn't a baller. Meyer isn't a baller. Arnold brags about recruiting dogs winners. Yeah, his teams. I thought about that. I don't think it wasn't this game. It was a couple of games ago. All off season, Underwood preached a couple different things. One of them was versatility, switchable, everything. The second one, which I meant to bring up at the top of the show, was that this roster was built for March. You played like 2 games in March, and you went 0-2. Bullshit. And the third one was they're winners. All of them won in high school. All of them have won at their previous stop. Did this dispel that matters? Does this dispel that whatever what's the word?
Just fueling the anti-Underwood argument. All you're doing.
Well,
you're not wrong.
I'm not meaning to. No. But he went on all offseason about how every single player on this roster has won. They won in high school or they won at their previous school. It don't matter.
Yeah. I don't know. This is a whole new world with NIL and the transfer portal. I just don't know when you're gonna get a player that's gonna be a real leader. That's also going to be one of your best players. Those things I don't know if those things will add up. I mean, if you can maybe get it out of Melendez or Goody next year, I mean, they can kind of take over those roles, but
I think Goody could be a really good leader.
I think he can too, but if you ask me, if those are your better, I'm not saying they have to be your better players, but if those are your better players, you're probably in trouble. I mean, I was very much pro RJ Melendez this offseason and throughout the season. I know he struggled, but I don't know if I see that. I don't know if he's going to be that guy. I mean, he's certainly a great role player and is obviously capable of, giving you points, and he can be a shooter and he can do some things, but Luke Goody can certainly be a leader and he can be a 3-point weapon. I wish we had Luke Goody more this season. I mean,
I think the two things that threw this roster off were Sky Clark and Luke Goody's injury. And I think that's an obvious answer. Everyone knows that. But
I don't know
really
how this
threw the roster off.
I don't know how the season changes if those two things don't happen. Yeah. But yeah, they both obviously threw everything into a funk. When you lose, I mean, Brad said Luke Goody was a starter at the point, which he might have been in Brad's mind, a starter to start the season. But yeah, when both of those things happen, I mean, this team went several weeks without either of them. After once Sky left and Luke wasn't back yet, there wasn't a ton there in that rotation. I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens. What else we got?
Go ahead and read that one.
I'm not an Underwood hater. I appreciate how far he's brought the program back, but in-game adjustments are a flaw. And how many times can we hear the same post-game responses? Past teams equals player coached.
It's that last sentence that I was bringing this up for.
Yeah.
But that's built through Trent, DeMonte. I guess those are the main two. Being there for 4 years, Trent starting for 4 years. This team didn't have that. So that's the difference there. Is that, Trent went through 2 of the worst seasons in Illinois basketball history. And it paid off his final 3. But, I mean, you had to fight through that. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that if Sincere, Ty, and Jayden make it to their senior year, they'll be just like Trent Frazier was.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how that happens. But they're not.
This team just didn't have that.
Yeah.
This team had 2 seniors that were transfers who had never stepped foot on this campus before, had Their next most experienced player played sparingly last season. I mean, he played in times and spurts, but like there was a point in the season last year where Coleman was just non-existent from the rotation. And then you had RJ and Luke who didn't play a lot in most games. So this team just did not have those kind of players. So yeah, I mean, I think that's what part of this is too. That's not all Brad's fault. You can't do anything about some of that stuff.
Yeah.
I saw this come across too. Yeah, Ty Rogers can start and run the point for Team USA, but Underwood can't do the same for me at the beginning of this year. I would have given Ty the point from day one.
I don't know, but midway through the year, I would have.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Ty was the best to bring the ball up the court the last month.
I would not be shocked if they move forward with Ty Rogers maybe being the primary point guard. Because if you're able to do that, then that does free some other things up. Is that the best option you can do? Probably not. Because I don't think that's who he truly is. But I think that gives you some more roster flexibility if he's able to do that. So they might try to give him a shot and see what he can do. But they'll also probably have to make that decision sooner rather than later because, as I've already said, the transfer portal is wide open. So Who knows? How are we feeling about the new recruits? There's talent, but I mean, I don't think either of them are going to come in and make an immediate impact. There's no Nick Smith Jr.'s on this team. I mean, there's none of that. I mean, you might get some productivity, but they're not going to fill your gaps. They're not going to replace your minutes and your production from your two leading scorers. You're probably, I guess, three leading scorers after they leave. So I don't have anything negative to say about the freshmen, but you're going to need a lot more than that.
Yeah, I mean, there's Trey Gibbs, Lawhorn not going to come in. If anyone, he might be the one that comes in and makes immediate impact. His highlight from his senior season is outstanding. If you look at his Twitter or on any of the YouTube or Twitter or wherever, his highlight reel this season is awesome. Amani Hansberry just won Gatorade Player of the Year in Maryland. I think Maryland. That's right.
Yeah,
Maryland. 6'8". I think he'll play, but I don't know. I think Lawhorn has a better chance to come in. And then you got Moretti, who has been here for the second half of the semester. That I don't know. There will be more. There will be many more recruits come in.
Josh Whitman is a superstar AD, and he won't be afraid to can Brad. Sure, not this year.
Agree to the first point. Disagree with the second. There's no reason to can Brad Underwood. He's been to 4 straight NCAA tournaments.
He may not be afraid to can Brad, but he's not canning Brad right now. Yeah. It's just not happening. That's not happening this offseason. If the next season or two are obviously worse and we're not moving in a positive direction, then yes, he will not be afraid to can Brad Underwood. But that's not happening this offseason. We need to move off of that right now. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. It's not working with Brad. Get it through your thick skull.
My argument here,
skull, or does Brad have the thick skull, or do you have the thick skull? I want to know who has the thick skull in this conversation.
My argument here is that he didn't do the same thing over and over. He tried to switch things up this year, and it didn't work. Now, in game, I get the argument. You know, he did the same thing every game over and over. But as far as the roster and the program goes, he tried something different this year to get the March success, and it didn't work. So now this offseason is the key offseason to see how he goes about entering next season, to see if he wants to go back to what he was doing, if he wants to continue down this path and maybe just find another point guard and a shooter and see if the whole switchability, you know, have 5 guys, 6'6", and all the same guys works. This offseason is the one where things need to change or you need to figure something out. But that's my argument against this.
Yeah, I'm with you. What else? Anything?
I'm just throwing stuff. I don't have time to read all these, but
after years missing the tournament, this is our new floor. It's a very high, very nice carpet. Hashtag perspective.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what was the stat I said? Illinois made 3 NCAA tournaments in like a 12-year span. Now we've been to 3, should have been 4 in a row. Like,
Yep.
It's okay. Like, we're back in the dance. We're consistently in, and none of those we've been on the bubble. Like, for three years in a row, we haven't sweated out on Selection Sunday. It's nice. Enjoy it.
I'm fine. I'm fine. All right. What else we need to talk about? You're just gonna keep scrolling through the comments.
We should mention women's basketball made the tournament.
They did, and they lost. I did not go.
What?
Unfortunately,
Why?
I've been a little under the weather, to be honest.
Okay.
With you.
Fair enough.
So did not make it to the game last night. Kind of glad I didn't, because it did not end very well.
Yeah.
Wasn't thrilled about it, but I made the smart choice. But yes, their season also has come to an end. So basketball for Illinois is over. Northwestern is holding the torch for the state.
But shout out to the women. They had a fantastic season.
They had a phenomenal year.
I think most Illini Nation probably wish they could have watched them more, because not a lot of women's games get on Big Ten Network. It's on Big Ten Network Plus and all that, and I don't think many people are subscribing to that. So I didn't get to watch a ton of them, but Illinois Athletics did an article, and I did some sleuthing. Illinois is one of 14 Division I FBS programs to make both men's and women's NCAA basketball tournament and a bowl game. Mm-hmm. Only 14 of them. And there's like 130, I think, schools. So only 14 made the big three postseason events. And Illinois is in it for the first time in more than 20 years, I believe. First time since 2000, I think is what I said. So good time for Illini Nation. That goes his name has been mentioned on here a couple times. Shout out to Josh Whitman for doing that. There is one on here. Jinx 13 gave us a nice little shout out. I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to show it on here. But Jinx 13 giving us a shout out with saying we do a great job. So thank you for
appreciate you for
the kind words.
Some people talking
about Terrence Shannon now. A couple of them here. Shannon should come back and learn how to use his right hand. Needs a year to improve his image. I just don't. I agree. I don't think he's NBA ready. He didn't improve enough, I don't think, this year to solidify his spot. I just don't see him coming back. I really don't.
I don't see him coming back. I don't know if I don't want to say I don't know if I'd want him back. I don't want to say that because I don't know if that's what I mean, but I'm not sure if that's the better scenario for all parties involved. But I also agree with you. I don't know that he's quite ready, but I think he'll go anyway. Yeah. Honestly.
Rodnell Frazier, Trent Frazier's dad.
Rodnell,
hey guys,
what's up,
talk
man?
About someone else. My son is gone. Support the team that's there now. Thanks for joining. Your son's a great example, so we're just trying to bring an example here. Yeah, wish he was still around. But yes, he would rub off on quite a few of these guys. I think there are guys that have Trent Frazier potential. Like I said, I think all the freshmen, if they stay for 4 or 5 years like Trent did, I think they will be very similar. But Trent's a great example of what I think most Illini fans want from their players. Let's see. Do we want to keep going or do we want to shut it down? I mean, we've been talking for 45 minutes.
Care. We've been talking for a while. I think we can probably shut it down. We can do a season recap later.
Yeah. Oh, Gregory Helton. Man, I'd love to have Jay Wright. Jay Wright's not leaving the booth, man. Not leaving the booth.
If Jay Wright wants to come to Illinois, that's fine, and I would gladly take him. Brad Underwood would then, if he didn't want to be Jay's assistant, which honestly he might, would find another top program to go to and take that team to several straight tournaments too. Will he take that team to a Sweet 16? I don't know, but whatever. Shout out Oakwood. Yep, absolutely, Chi-Town. Shout out Oakwood. All right, let's shut it down. I think it's time.
All right.
I think we've been on here for a while.
Like Logan said, we'll do a actual episode here coming up because we haven't actually done an episode. We've just done these post games. We'll do one of those to wrap up the season, I guess. I just don't know when that's going to be. Probably. I think both of us just want to sit and enjoy the next 3 days of the tournament. Correct. Before we do that.
We will do an Illini season recap / baseball season preview episode here very soon. Not sure when, as Craig said, but that will come here soon. Thanks again for everybody for tuning into these. We really do appreciate it. We started doing these last year kind of periodically, and they went really well. And this year we really stuck to trying to do as many games as possible. And we did. Craig even went solo on some games while I was on vacation. So like, good. That's awesome. Thank you.
Those were probably our best viewed shows, if we're being honest.
Probably so. The fact that I wasn't, of course. Why wouldn't they be? But no, we've had a lot of fun doing this, and we'll plan on doing it again next year, assuming we're both in situations to do that. So we'll just have to see how the world works. But
the live aspect was awesome. Everyone in the chat, I know a lot of people didn't agree with all of our things we said, but it provided great conversation for us as opposed to me and Logan just going back and forth in our ramblings. The live aspect was great, and there's one person to thank for that. He knows who he is. Thank you for providing that to us, and I thought it went really well. So I hope you guys stick with us outside of basketball season when we're not doing these live post games. Continue to watch our shows and everything because we like doing it, and we hope you guys do as well. So,
what he said. All right, we're going to shut it down here. Final from Des Moines.
Before we do, let's talk your bracket because we didn't talk brackets after. Who'd you have in the Final Four?
The one that I tweeted out today. I mean, like everybody, I did like multiple brackets, but the one that I was confident in, my 4 teams are still alive. Alabama. What?
I've already lost one.
Oh, Arizona?
Yeah.
Did you lose Arizona? My Final Four is still alive. Alabama, Duke, UCLA, and Texas. Yeah. Okay, I had
we
Arizona.
Ended up having 2 of the 3 the same.
Well, I had Creighton beating Arizona.
That's right.
I'm all aboard the Jayhawk train, man. I don't.
The worst part of the Arizona loss is, yes, it busted my bracket pretty much, but now Mizzou gets Princeton. So Mizzou is likely going to be a Sweet 16 team in the first year of their crappy ass coach.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah. Yep.
All right. I had
my Final Four still alive, so that's good.
Who'd you have winning it? Bama?
Texas.
Okay, we have the same champ. I had Arizona, Duke, Texas, and UConn, and I had Texas beating Arizona.
Okay.
So
you kind of talked me into the Duke thing. After our selection show, I kind of wasn't in on Duke, but they're hot. They're hot.
Yep, they're very hot.
So I have them going all the way to the Final Four.
The one I'm worried about there
I don't trust Purdue
Kentucky.
In that bracket. So
I have them beating Kentucky in the Elite Eight, and that scares me. But
I guess we'll see. All right, we're going to
thank you, everybody.
Thank you again. 73-63 final. He's Craig. I'm Logan. We'll be back for a regular show sometime here in the next few weeks. Until then, go Illini. Peace and love. Thanks again. We'll see you later.